Cześć siemanko, witajcie, ja jestem Delentar, a w tym odcinku będziemy grać w... No kurde, zapomniałem tytułu. The Stanley Parable Before... Nie. The Stanley Parable. Nigdy. Właśnie, nie wiem, to jest chyba jakiś klasyk w ogóle, bo tak widziałem u Staszka tytuł. Nie jest tytuł. Początek chyba filmu obejrzałem. Ale gameplayu specjalnie. Co tutaj, please? Okej. Czyli ledwo widoczny komputer ma być. To tak chyba. Nie wiem, jak to będzie u was widać. W ogóle jak się witałem, to wróciłem do mojego starego przywitania. Tak jak kiedyś się witałem, jak nagrywałem Fortnite'a. Zrobiłem wina. Jest! Nie no, wtedy to był stream, nieważne. Ale, nie wiem, na początku samym. A nie, dobra, później, bo na początku się witałem, cześć, witajcie, ale to nieważne. Okej, chyba będzie okej. Git. No i ta gra ogólnie jest o tym... Time, kurde, tego się nie spodziewałem. 20:30. Aha, 8. Ty, czekaj, co ja robię? Dobra, 8:30. 8:30, tak. Czekaj, 28. Tak, dobra. No i git. Kurde, zapomniałem co mówiłem. Ja pierniczam sklerozę. Nieważne. Okej, fajnie. Czekaj, bo ja w ogóle... Właśnie, bo ja nic nie słyszę. A zapomniałem wyłączyć słuchawek. Włączone jest z tabletem chyba. Zaraz. Tak. Bluetooth disconnected. Połącz. I dobra. Dobra, wziąłem sobie tę pufę, bo mi skrzepi strasznie. Settings. Nieważne. No nie. Czekaj. Co ja bym chciał zrobić? Bo... Qualify. Medium, low. Niech będzie medium. Sets. Aha, że to? Tak. Overall, okej. Apply, nie. Keep. Nie wiem. 60 stałe. To też nie powinno skakać w OBS-ie, zobaczmy. Też jest stałe, no to git. To można grać. Tylko jeszcze jedno zmienię, bo może to też jakoś wpływa na to. O tako. Nieważne co zrobiłem, okej. Niechcący kliknąłem begin. Never. Okej, nieważne.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Stanley, o kurde. To ja znam jednego
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Okay,
and then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Aha. No dobra. Czyli ja jestem Stanleyem. I jego historia jest taka, że przychodził do pracy codziennie i miał po prostu wciskać te guziki, które im ukazali, ale pewnego dnia nikt się nie zjawił, nie miał żadnych poleceń i postanowił wyjść z jego pokoju 427. Ciekawe, czy to ważne? Nie wiem do końca, jakiego typu to jest gra, czy to jest jakiś... To jest to escape rooma, może? Nie wiem. Czy jakaś detektywistyczna?
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Meeting room, okej. Czyli to jest dziwne, bo nikogo nie ma.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
A gdzie jest meeting room? Czy ja już byłem? Nie wiem. 417, okej. Bo to jest taka chyba detektywistyczna gra trochę.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
A ja mam go słuchać, czy iść tak bardziej nie po jego myśli? Dobra, na razie ja się go posłucham może. Okej, co to jest? To jest strasznie taki super liminal jakby.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Go up. To jest meeting room pewnie. Tak? Chociaż nie wiem. Nie no, pewnie tak. Dobra. Trochę źle zrozumiałem meeting room. Myślałem, że to takie, wiesz, że się herbatę można zrobić sobie. Poszedł
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
tutaj? Nie, jeszcze wyżej. Kurde, to wygląda jak jakiś... jak to się nazywa? Burdel. Dobra. Nie można skakać? A, mogę sobie tutaj przejść tędy, dobra. No i gdzie jest szef?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
Czyli...
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
No, ale to jest... jakiś guzik? Nie, ja dobrze zrozumiałem. Kurczę... Mogę wziąć sobie to?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Do czego? To... device...
2845.
A, okej. Okej.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
Ale to jest fajnie zrobione.
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Passageway. Nearly... A tutaj. Okej, i co? Co zrobił dalej Stanley? Bo nie wiem. Proszę mi powiedzieć. Okej, nie powiedział, żebym to zrobił w sumie. I nie wiem, czy mi ucina ekran, czy tak powinno być. To... no nie wiem.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
W sensie to jest chyba logiczne, nie? Bo trochę inny jest...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
To zrobił z stanu, czy przeszedł przez nie? Kurde, co on powiedział? Nie wiem. Trochę głośnie. Chociaż kurde, później będę musiał na nagraniu ściszyć. No dobra. A może na słuchawkach jest głośniej? Czekaj, mogę? Nie, kurde. Okej, już nic nie robię. Czekaj, co mam zrobić? Kliknąć pewnie.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength
Właśnie
to
to
find
pomyślałem. Dokładnie, ale się wcieliłem w Stanleya. To mi przypomina to trochę ze Star Wars. Jakby te takie, kurde, nie wiem, koncerty przemówień. Nie wiem jak to nazwać. No co, znowu chyba trzeba kliknąć duży guzik biały z kamerą. No dobra.
Now the monitors jumped to life. Their true nature
Cześć, jaki był mój pokój?
Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on
Co
a
nikogo nie
screen.
ma.
And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Nie słuchałem, co mówił. Coś o wolności. Szkoda, że nie muszę skakać, bo... Chociaż w sumie nie wiem, po co to było. Okej? Co
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Kurde, ale tu są problemy.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
No nie.
It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even
nie do
possible?
pomyślenia.
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Nie, to nieprawda.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Dismantle? Co to znaczy? Chyba coś zepsuć. Nie mam pojęcia. Ale te wszystkie lata, pracowałem, a oni kontrolowali moje myśli. Tak na przyszłość chcę, żebyście wiedzieli, że tak się nie robi, to jest trochę niemoralne. Ale nieważne, co mam zrobić? Czekaj, dismantle. Co mam poklikać je? Nie wiem, poklikam wszystkie. Tutaj się świeci dosyć mocno, ale to... Czekaj, bo moja praca polegała na wciskaniu guzików, nie? To powinienem być w tym dobry. O! I co to znaczy? Czy tutaj będą jakieś łamigłówki? Bo jeśli tak, to... to jednak trochę pomontuję ten filmik, bo długo mi zajmują. 1, 2, a to? Nie wiem. A gdzie jest 3? To jest dobre pytanie. Świetne pytanie. 3? To wygląda jak... Czy to 3? Nie, chyba nie. Dobra. To w takim razie, gdzie ona jest? To może być problem. O, teraz 4. Może gdzieś za drzwiami. 3. To jest 4. Nie, to jest 1. O co chodzi? Nie mam pojęcia. A może gdzieś bardziej z tej strony. Będzie 4 w sumie. O, tam wygląda, jakby to była 4. 4. Aha, tam. Nie wiadomo jak wejść. I w ogóle ciemno strasznie jest. Dobra. Mam problem. Po pierwsze, czy to jest 4, bo nie wiem, czy tam iść w ogóle. Z daleka nie zobaczę, bo to się świeci strasznie. Kurde, zgaszę te światło, bo będzie fajnie. Będzie lepiej widać. O, dobra. Tutaj jest 5. Tak, to wiem. A tam prawdopodobnie jest 4. Tyle, że właśnie co? Jak tam dojść? Brakuje mi tego komentarza, który by mi powiedział, co robić. Tutaj nie wejdę. A może tu na dół? Nie, tędy sobie przyszedłem, ale nic poza tym. Ale tutaj jest zejście bardziej. Także, mogę sobie tędy się przejść, zobaczyć, co tutaj ciekawego jest. Nic nie ma ciekawego, więc idę dalej. Czy to powinno mi tak długo zajmować? Oczywiście, że nie. Może jednak da się tu wejść, ale ja jestem po prostu półmózgiem i kurde, nie działa. Tak. Na pewno tędy trzeba, nie? Czy nie? 3. Może jeszcze raz poklikam te wszystkie przyciski. 1, 2. 3 było tam. 3. Gdzie jest 3? Tutaj była. 3. Co jeśli kliknę 5 teraz? Czekaj, czy ja tam bez sensu spędziłem tyle czasu?
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ale tak właściwie to, czy ta maszyna aby na pewno jest taka zła? W sensie, przychodzisz do pracy, pracujesz sobie i masz przyjemność z tego. Pomimo, że to jest tylko klikanie guzików, ale nie wiem, według mnie, jakby w szkole coś takiego mieli, że ja się cieszę z nauki, to wiecie, bym nie odmówił. Chyba, że jakaś wersja beta, wtedy bym się zastanowił. System power off, tak? O kurde. Coś zepsułam. 1 FPS.
Blackness. and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
No i nie wydaje mi się.
Yes.
Aha,
He had
to jest
won.
koniec?
He had defeated the machine, unshackled
Poczekaj.
himself from
Co to
someone
jest?
else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did
no
this
tak.
strange building hold?
Ta gra ma
But
dużo
as
zakończeń.
sunlight
Znaczy,
streamed into
nie
the
wiem czy dużo,
chamber,
ale
he realized none of this
na
mattered
Steamie
to
jest
him.
napisane, że ma
For
wiele
it was not
zakończeń.
knowledge or even
Czego?
power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his
Czyli
goal
ile?
had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he
To jest takie
needed to
prawidłowe
know.
zakończenie.
It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Tak właśnie zrobiłem.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
No, byłem. Pamiętam. No to myślę, że jeszcze z jedno zakończenie. Teraz jak on powie, że w lewo, to ja pójdę w prawo. Taki będę. Okej.
Could it
Patrzcie.
mean? Stanley
Patrzcie, co ja
decided to go to
zrobię.
the
Czekaj, nie, to dalej jeszcze. I tutaj, o.
open doors. He entered
No
the
nie,
door on his
nie
left.
za bardzo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Tak. O, tutaj zostawiony komputer włączony. Mogę sobie wejść. Dlaczego nie mogę? Nie wiem. Nie mam pojęcia. Tutaj. Z drugiej strony jakby można było tam dojść. Wygląda jak meeting room, ale taki inny niż tamten, taki bardziej pusty. Okej. O, tutaj jest taka kafeteria.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully
Mogę klikać
constructed
nawet
room.
na ścianie.
Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Hashtag 1 dat. Hashtag 1 mam. I to co?
Yes, really worth it being here in the
Może
room.
baby.
A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers are but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ta? W sumie chyba ta. No dobra, no.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Czyli co? Do opposite door? Ale to jest... Nie, zamknęło się. O nie. No i co ja teraz zrobię? No, ale mnie strollował chłop. Nie zaufam więcej. Kurde, ale jasne słońce, normalnie nie.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley
You've
decided to
slept.
go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Dobra, to mam nadzieję, że nie jest ważne, bo takich quizów, takich zagadek nie chcę rozwiązywać. Jak to? Broom closet, czyli to jest ta taka namiotki.
Stanley stepped
chyba,
into the
nie?
broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got
Jesteś
back on
pewien,
track.
że nic tutaj nie było? Coś ukrywa przede mną ten narrator.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Nie nabierzesz mnie. No,
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way.
Zgasz światło?
As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Okej. Może faktycznie chyba mnie przekonał, wiecie.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing?
A ja
Blimey.
poczekam.
Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Ta? Zajebiście, ale ja nie pytałem. Dobra, weź coś jeszcze powiedz.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
A naprawdę? W sensie, on tak będzie mnie trollował, czy serio on mówi prawdę?
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite."
Okej, już.
I hope your friends find this
Już mnie
concerning.
przekonał, chłop. Dobra, idziemy na dół. No.
Coming to a
Tak jak
staircase,
mówił.
Stanley
Dokładnie.
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Dokładnie tak. O, a to coś. Mogę to wziąć? Naprawdę to czemu to się tak świeci? Bez sensu. Fire. Dobra.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all.
256 jest, czyli
None of it made any
8.
logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real.
This can't be real.
And at last, he came to the conclusion
Tak
that
se
had
powiedział.
been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
No, to prawda.
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
No właśnie, tak pomyślałem, no i dupa, no. I co?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? and everything went black.
Ale ta gra jest
This is
pojebana.
the story of a woman named Mariella.
Mariela.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel
Ja jestem
better.
tym facetem tam.
Then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
No i co? I nie pobiegła. Została. Okej. Czyli to było kolejne zakończenie. Mogę F1. Kurde, chciałem zostać tutaj i poczekać, ale w sumie to mi się nie chce. Sprawdzajmy może drzwi wszystkie.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for
A
something.
ile razy?
A
Jak nie
measly
5?
5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of
No i
witnessing
co?
a true effort
Gdzie
for a
jest?
noble cause.
No i nie ma
50 clicks will do it. Yes,
achievementa.
almost certainly 50 clicks.
50? No mi nie musisz mówić frazy.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put
Dobra.
20 clicks into door number 417?
Czyli co? 417. Ile? Kurde. Ile on powiedział? Okej.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
437. A gdzie on jest? 4. Okej, nie tu. O,
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
10 clicks. 15. Czyli to może zakończenie będzie. Ale wątpię w sumie.
Now, back to door number 437.
437. Dobra. Jak dostanę achievement, to czemu nie?
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting
Tak, tak,
somewhere.
ja też to czuję. Tutaj.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's
A nie da
desk.
się. A, ja chyba źle idę. Tak. Forn, czy jak? Tutaj gdzieś. Co? I co? Można. Dawaj.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416. We've almost
Ja
got it!
pierdolę,
Now
co
the
ja
copy
robię?
machine, do that one
Co ja
again!
robię ze swoim życiem? Copy masz. A czy tutaj może jest jakaś inna copy maszyna? Nie ma? No dobra. Copy maszyna, dobra.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door
Okay,
430! Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really
Dostałem.
earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back.
O
Yes, I'm
kurde,
very
ile
proud
osób
of
ma?
how far we've come
Aż
today.
mnie
Just
zaciekawiło.
think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Okej, to mi się podobało. Może jeszcze sobie poklikam, zobaczymy czy zareaguje. Chyba nie. No to dobra. No to idziemy dalej. Tutaj też nie wejdę. Czemu nie można wejść? A czekaj, co to jest za miejsce w ogóle? Bo z jednej strony... A, może tutaj da się wejść? Może nie? A może nie? Nie. Nie zgadzam się. No weźcie jakieś drzwi mi otwórzcie, no. Jakiekolwiek. O to! Nie, nie te. O te jakby mi otworzyli, to by było ciekawe. Ale niestety nie jest. Bo tam jest jakieś przejście dalej. Dokładnie. Nie. Nie. Nie idę do meeting rooma. Aż tak widać? Wszedłem? Nie. Idę prosto. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad girl. Nie, no nie będę.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years
Trzeba
ago.
wszystko klikać, to jest tak... Nie, no to nie jest taktyka w sumie. Nic z tym jeszcze nie osiągnąłem. Oprócz tego achievementa to w sumie... Do not lie. If you're lying right now, stop. A, drzwi się zamkną. Nie no, dobra, pójdę. Co to jest za miejsce? Ej, fajnie to wygląda. Mogę spaść? A co jeśli bym umarł? To też jakieś zakończenie by było. O, trzeba jakąś tą tabliczkę z... No wiadomo. Ale ja powinienem ją mieć chyba, bo jestem pracownikiem. Chociaż nie wiem. Co jeśli spadnę?
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
No to też
Good
dobra
job, Stanley.
taktyka.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ale on jest taki ironiczny, ja pierniczę, ale nie no, podoba mi się. To co, jeszcze raz achievement? Nie no, dobra, już nie będę. Tutaj, dobrze, idę. Tutaj w prawo. Czekaj, a jak poszedł tutaj, to jeszcze mogę iść prosto? Nie, prosto to nie. Na lewo to bym mógł pójść, ale to nie teraz. Teraz jeszcze raz tutaj. Ile już się nagrywa? O kurde. Dobra, wiecie co? To chyba byłoby na razie na tyle z... Kurde, jak to się nazywało? Z... The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. To już by było teraz na tyle. No i teraz, no nieważne zresztą. No więc tako i